Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Welcome to Prism of Lights. This is an interfaith holiday celebration that brings together various faith-based leaders, as well as some celebrity guests and some special performances, all to send a message of hope and unity, which is very much needed after a year like we've just had. For those of you who don't know, I am Ari Engel, the Director of Creative Community for Peace, and we have a great event planned for you tonight. Creative Community for Peace is a nonprofit entertainment industry organization comprised of prominent members of the entertainment community who have come together to promote the arts as a bridge to peace, to counter anti-Semitism within the entertainment industry, and to galvanize support against the cultural boycott of Israel. We understand the power that music, film, sports, and television has in bringing people of all backgrounds together. We also believe in artists and athletes and their ability to affect lives and affect positive change in the world. We would like to thank everyone who has donated to us this year. We literally cannot do our work without you. Matthew, please put up, I would love to show you, there we go. Here are our sponsors for tonight's event, and we are very grateful as they are made this event possible. Craig Emanuel, Rothenberg, Moore and Binder, Rick Rosen and Orly Adelson, Neil Jacobson, Jacqueline Saturn, Yagal Dakar, Steve Greenberg and S-Curve Records, Ben Silverman, and Sam DeLug. We are really grateful for all of their support this evening. With that, I would like to introduce CCFP co-founder, David Renzer, who has a special message for everyone tonight. David?
Thanks. Oh, hi, can you hear me okay? Okay, looks like,
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay, great. It looks like it's working. Thanks, Ari. And welcome everyone to our Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa Unity event. It seemed like it was just the perfect opportunity for to present you a program tonight that is, the theme is really all about unity. And when we think about Creative Community for Peace, and when we were founded almost 10 years ago, it was really about promoting the idea of coexistence and the power that music and art and film and TV have to bring people together. And even as we look at the story of Hanukkah, we know that ultimately it's a story about how unity wins. You know, there was division amongst the Jews, but ultimately the Jews were successful in recapturing the ancient synagogue and kindling the menorah, and hence we have our wonderful holiday celebrating light and bringing light into the world, which we know is needed more than ever after kind of the year we've had. So I really want to thank Rabbi Wolpe and Pastor Foster, Dr. Pulley, who are going to be joining us soon. Rabbi Wolpe is a personal friend. He's been a mentor. He's been a spiritual guide for me and for my family. My children attended Sinai Akiba, and we've learned so much from Rabbi Wolpe. And for those of you who have the opportunity to tune in, you can find him in various ways online, but it's always a joy and an inspiration to hear him. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our team. You know, it's been a trying year, and with that, our team has really stepped up. And so I really want to thank and congratulate our director, Ari, and the rest of the staff, Matthew, Edward, Ronnie, Karis, for all of the great work they've done. And I hope you all have had a chance to tune in and to join us as we've presented some amazing panels and kind of brought the worlds of culture and the arts to you. And we've featured people like actor Jesse Eisenberg, and giving a moving presentation and talk about when he visited a concentration camp with his young son. Hearing Jeremy Piven, you know, and all the comedians talk about what it was like for them to perform in Israel. Panels with the stars and creators and actors of Fauda. We just had a wonderful panel about the TV show Tehran. So we're continuing to present to you amazing programming. Again, a big thank you to our team for pulling it all together. And we've broadened our mission, our core mission, which has always been to promote the arts and culture as a way of bringing people together. But with the rise in anti-Semitism and hate, we created a digital task force this year that has been instrumental in working closely with the major entertainment digital platforms, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, etc. And we work with them weekly, identifying problematic hate speech, anti-Semitic content. They look at us as their trusted partners, and they remove this content. And it's been working really, really well. And I want to congratulate our team, Karis, who works on that in particular. And we've also broadened, we have an amazing advisory board, and I want to thank all of them. Many of them actually roll their sleeves up. These are non-paid executives and artists and sports figures and people in our industry who are busy, busy with their professional lives, but they take time out of their busy schedules to help Creative Community for Peace in our mission. They believe in our mission. They've seen it succeed, and how we've worked with hundreds of artists behind the scenes, promoting and the important work that we do in our mission. And so, again, a big thank you to everyone, and a big thank you to all of our supporters for their help and support. And just again, a reminder to all of you that our mission of building bridges, our mission of making sure that artists do not boycott Israel, our mission now in our digital task force of countering hate speech and anti-Semitism online, and the growth of our organization now to include sports, etc. None of that would be possible without your support. Apologize. And so I really, again, I just want to thank you for those that do support us, and those that can support us. We welcome it. And with that, I want to introduce to you a video that talks a little more about Creative Community for Peace and our important work. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.
Those of you that say that you're a Jew, you're not a Jew. You're Satan.
Hitler killed all the Jews. That's racism.
The arch deceiver, the imposter Jews.
Please welcome to the stage from Israel, Idan Rachel, and from Palestine, Ali Amir.
We don't take sides. I love people. We love good people.
Israel is great. So we're really looking forward to coming back.
As David said, you just saw right there, you can see a little bit of the work we do all year. And, you know, we're making a big impact. We're a small organization, but we really do count on your guys' support. So please, if you can donate, please visit ccfpeace.com, ccfpeace.com. And it really helps us make a big difference and an impact. I'm really excited for the next portion of this event. We have a great discussion planned tonight with faith-based leaders discussing Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa and the spirit of unity. First, we have Pastor John Paul Foster of the Faithful Central Bible Church here in Los Angeles. Pastor Foster is a community leader who has a passion for teaching and preaching. He is also a professor at Biola University, Talbot School of Theology. His leadership and biblical exposition has impacted thousands in the Los Angeles area and around the world as he encourages people to live purpose-driven lives. How you doing? Next, we have Dr. Doral R. Pulley of the Spiritual Leaders of Today's Church in Florida. He celebrates more than 40 years of ministry and has worked almost every capacity of the church. He has traveled across the country spreading the word of God in an innovative manner and empowers people to change. He is known for his ability to effectively train church leaders and to stimulate holistic growth and development. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So glad to be here this evening.
Great. Matthew just make sure his video's up. And then finally, we have Rabbi David Wolpe of Sinai Temple here in Los Angeles, where I was actually bar mitzvahed many years ago. Rabbi Wolpe was named one of the 500 most influential people in Los Angeles in 2016 and again in 2017, most influential rabbi in America by Newsweek, and one of the 50 most influential Jews in the world by the Jerusalem Post. Rabbi Wolpe is also the author of 8 books, including the national bestseller, Making Loss Matter, Creating Meaning in Difficult Times. His new book is titled David, the Divided Heart. It was the finalist for the National Jewish Book Awards and has now been optioned for a movie by Warner Brothers. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Rabbi Wolpe.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank my faith partners and bridge builders and peacemakers tonight for being with us. And I want to start, I know that either of you could speak to either of these holidays, but I think we're each going to give a quick summary of what the holiday really means. We'll go Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah. Why not? And Dr. Pulley, since you're to my right in this Zoom world, and I think it's so interesting that, you know, we no longer walk on stage. Now what we do is we push a button that makes our picture appear. But Dr. Pulley, would you tell some of us who may not know actually what Kwanzaa is, what it's about and what it represents?
Kwanzaa, as I understand it, it's about the celebration of principles. The way I was introduced to it as a child is that we got all of these presents and toys for Christmas, but then we celebrated Kwanzaa, which was more about principles, more about being a better person, more about creating a better world, how to bring people together. And so Kwanzaa, as I understand it, is an African Swahili type of tradition. And one of the first days of Kwanzaa is actually Umoja, which is unity. And so for me, Kwanzaa is about principles and then lighting candles to recognize and to awaken these various principles for self-improvement as well as community development.
So it reminds us, I suppose, that the themes are eternal and they find new ways to express themselves, at least new to some of us. I mean, but they're as ancient, I'm sure, as we are. And Pastor Foster, would you say a word about Christmas to us? If there are people out there who don't know what Christmas is really about, what's it really about?
Yeah, it's not so much about a Christmas tree, not so much about Santa Claus, but specifically, it's a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. And so in the Christian community, and we've talked about this, even though we may have different theological views, again, we all come together in peace and unity and seeing how we can impact our communities. But Christmas in general is focused on the birth of Jesus Christ and how he gave light and hope to the world, and how he was the atonement and redeemer for God's people. And so when I look at Christmas, especially in times we're in, I look at hope. I mean, many of us in our times now, if we just look at a tree and the gifts under the tree, I think it's more important to think about the gifts that God has given us and how he continues to give us light as he continues to sustain us in the world that we're in, and then thinking about life after here.
It's a beautiful idea to think, what gifts do you really want on Christmas? You know, not the gift that'll end up in the closet a week from now, but the gift that you will care about forever and ever. And I would say that there are two themes to Hanukkah that I want to mention. The second one, Dr. Pulley, is going to lead me back to a question to you. The first is that Hanukkah is about rededication. And that's so important in all of our lives. We know that to do something once is not enough, that you have to do it over and over again and year after year. And that's what it was when the Maccabees rededicated the temple. That was a victory to renew what had already been done, but had to be done again. And the second part of it is that it was a victory for the integrity of minority cultures. And so I think that this is obviously something that African Americans and Jews share in common, is that we move in a world in which we are not a majority. And there is something both beautiful and difficult about that. So I wonder, Dr. Pulley, going back to you for a second, how would you explain to someone who is a white American what it's like to be an African American? How do you summarize that kind of minority feeling in the world in which we live that will enable us to come closer to your experience and to understand you better?
Well, I look at it from a historical perspective, to be thought of, first of all, as 3/5 of a person, not a full person. So that's a part of our history in the United States of America, that we were not recognized as full people. I believe that the civil rights movement gave us another fifth, where we got a lot of civil rights. But I still believe that we're still in search of that 5/5, being a full, whole person and recognized as equal to our white counterparts. And I believe that that's what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. I believe that that's what we're still marching in the streets for. Give us our other fifth. We desire to be whole persons and seen as equal to everybody else.
And Pastor Foster, I'll ask you the same question. How do you see it?
Yeah, to add to what Dr. Pulley has already said, I would say that, systems. I think that not only fighting for identity as a whole person, but I think there have been systems, and there still are systems that have intentionally been built intentionally to suppress us and to impede our progress. So I think when you look at historically, when you look at Jim Crow, you look at the prison system, you look at the drug system, and all these different systems. Even when you look at how organizations are structured, I think when it comes to African Americans, it's hard to see shared power. It's very difficult for African Americans, and it's not because of our intelligence by anyone. And not all African Americans are suffering. Not all African Americans are uneducated. Not all African Americans are considered poor. But I think that the systems, and I think with George Floyd and some of the things we've seen in 2020, there has been an uprise of people, Black, white, Asian, Jewish, every color you can think of, who have come and stood with us and saying enough is enough. And I think the work isn't done. It's something we still have to have engagements like this when we're fighting for peace for everyone. And I just think that when I think about some of the struggles of an African American man, in every system I've been in corporate, in the educational system, there have always been systems I've had to overcome in order to get there, that I see other of my white friends or colleagues, they haven't had those issues.
So I think that one of the things that you understand historically, certainly from my own tradition, is that deep-seated prejudices, hatreds are really, really hard to overcome. And even when you think you've overcome them, they can return in ways, like online, the world online has led to an explosion, as you saw in the opening video, of
Absolutely.
anti-Semitism and of racism that more, it sounds strange, but more than we would have expected in that sense. And it's a sort of liberation for people's worst impulses when they hide behind a screen.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask you next is, we live by screens now, and part of what the Creative Community for Peace is about is entertainment and what it puts on the screen.
Yeah.
So can you reflect, think about a little bit, maybe what you've seen or maybe what you would like to see that could help us build bridges to one another from the creative community? Like if you had Hollywood in front of you now and you had a couple minutes to say something to them, what message do you think you'd like to put across? And then Dr. Pulley, I'm going to ask you the same question. So while Pastor Foster is speaking, please think about what you would like to say as well.
Yes, thinking of just entertainment and how now with COVID, everything we're doing for worship is online. And so I think that if I had Hollywood in front of me, I think discussions like this. I think one of the issues that we're seeing in our nation is an educational gap. I think that some people just are not educated on what it's like to be a Black person, what it's like to be a Jew, and history. And so I think that we need to develop discussions like this and tell history and really share our stories from a perspective that it has integrity, because now online you can watch any video, you can get any type of information and you don't even know if it's correct. And as an educator, to me, that's huge. So I think going back to historical roots, going back to history, being able to really have a discussion or some type of discussion or educational session where people can understand history. A lot of what I've been doing this time in COVID, ever since George Floyd, has been speaking to different groups of people about the African-American experience. And I think that what I've walked away from saying, wow, we never knew that. And I've suggested books and different things that they can read, but I think it's an education. Some of it's just ignorance. It's not that you know, and other religions, other races have experienced after certain groups of African Americans, and they label all African Americans under that umbrella, which isn't fair either. So I think education is huge. So if we can do a documentary, something like that in Hollywood, I think would make a huge difference.
You remind me of George Bernard Shaw once said that the only person who understood him was his tailor, because he measured him anew every time he met him. You know, because everybody changes, everybody's different, and you meet one person, it doesn't mean you met a whole group of people.
Exactly.
I'm thinking, by the way, when you were talking about that, of seeing Hamilton, and that was a beautiful example of using entertainment to be so eye-opening about history and so on. Dr. Pulley, what do you think?
I think that it's important, and I've had the opportunity last year to actually go to Israel and Jerusalem and to be there, and I still saw the divide with the Muslims and the Jews and people fighting over this one little holy space. And what they were doing when I was there is that they were focused on the young people, and that they felt like that was the hope, to get the young people to work together where they had not been so ingrained with these isms and schisms and prejudices, and that they were actually working together to build murals and to build creative spaces where they could talk and dialogue and work together. So what I desire to see on the screen is people actually working together that look different from each other. I'm talking about whites and Blacks and Jews and gays and transgender people and Asians and Latinas all working together. And I think we need more examples of how diversity can be brought together, and people can play various roles in various creative projects, and to show this real, not just as an idea, that it's not just a theory or a concept, but it's actually manifesting, it's actually being demonstrated. People that look different from each other, realizing their unity in the midst of their diversity.
I think that's two beautiful statements. I know we only have a couple minutes left, but I want to ask you a professional question for my own benefit, because we're all in the same business. People may not think of the clergy as being a business, but in a way it is. And we've all had to try to figure out how to reach out online over the past year, which is something I mean, even if services were filmed, it's very different from what it was. And so I wonder I mean, this is a wide question. Take it any direction you'd like, but what have you learned or what are you doing that enables you to still feel close to parishioners or congregants or your flock when you can't be with them in person that we might take away as a lesson?
One of the things that I've learned, that's why you see me with this Christmas sweater on, is to not stop anything because we're not together physically. So normally we have a big Christmas party this time of year and we weren't able to do it physically, so we did it virtually, and people dressed up in their ugly sweaters and we sang and we did all those kinds of things that we would do in person, and just not to let anything stop us. And it has forced us to be more creative. Another thing that I've learned is that people are not willing to sit on a screen as long as they would if it were live.
Yeah, we have all
so
learned
we've
that.
learned to be clear and concise, cut the fluff, let's get to the point, because people are not going to sit for an hour and a half, 2 hours on a screen. So it's really caused me to synchronize and really figure out what's important and what's not.
Yeah. And Pastor Foster, how about you?
For me, I would, to add to what Dr. Pulley said, I would say that finding ways to reach the community and touch the community, I think touch points. So some of the things we've done is we realized the need for tutoring and homework help for parents in our community who are working. It's really difficult for them to be working at home. Some have multiple jobs and multiple roles at home, and their kids are at home all day. And so what we did is we came up with a program called Homework Help. So we have a team of people who the parents can pick a slot, and someone will come on live like we are now and will help the child with their homework. Another thing we did also was we realized we found the people in our community and within our church who needed computers, who could not go to school because they didn't have computers. And so we actually, we teamed with the Israeli consulate, actually, which I said, again, partnering with our Jewish friends.
Right.
And we were able to supply computers to students who would not have been able to go to school virtually had they not had them. We've also done food drives, and we call them boxes of love, where we get boxes in our community, and we get them to families. And so we do different things like that. We've done educational seminars for people who have small businesses or any business owner in general who is trying to navigate through different options and possibilities they can do to thrive in this time. So I think those points, to me, because we see our people suffering and our community hurting, to me, if I feel close and I'm able to help or meet a need that would not have been met. I think sometimes when we look at our positions and say professionally, I believe sometimes God has allowed us to be an extension of his hand. When you look at the Exodus of Moses, God sends Moses to do the work. And I think we can't forget that he could have done it any way he wanted to, but he chose to send Moses to do the work. And I think I'm taking on as much as I can to help my community and people. And honestly, a simple text message, a simple phone call, to how our elderly people are doing, and finding out people need counseling and trying to find a way to get them in counseling. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are struggling with mental health issues. And so just those touch points, there's various ways you can do it. I'm with Dr. Pulley. I've learned how to make that message real concise.
Right. Yeah. So that's actually to your point, that is the first thing in the Bible that's called not good. It's not good for one to be alone. It's the first thing. So we know that loneliness is the first bad thing. The one other thing I want to add is part of this obviously is the Black community and the Jewish community have long and deep historical roots. And I just full disclosure here to people watching, Pastor Foster has actually been to my synagogue and spoken at my synagogue, which has been a great joy. But the whole point of being on the screen is I never would have met Dr. Pulley otherwise. I hope one day you'll be able to come and speak at the synagogue too. I look forward to, although from Florida, it's a bit of a trip, but still, we have good weather out here also. But the screen does allow us sometimes to make connections that we otherwise wouldn't make. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful for that experience and that possibility and that opportunity. And I think to all of those who are watching and listening, it really, it's not as though there aren't, we all know that are there tensions between the African-American community and the Jewish community? Of course there are. There's no such thing as a relationship without tensions and without difficulties and without things that we have to work out. But the friendship is there, the roots are deep. The faith begins from the same root. And I think that this is a beautiful example of how all of our holidays are about light in the darkness. And I want to thank both of you for giving us some light in these dark times tonight, and wish you a joyous and safe and healthy Christmas and New Year. And thank you for being here.
No,
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
And
nice meeting you, Pastor John.
Nice to meet
Paul
you,
Foster.
Dr.
Yes.
And Rabbi Wolpe, I just want to thank you and CCFP just for allowing this to happen. Again, Rabbi Wolpe, you've allowed me to come into your space, and the roots are now growing deep. And I think it's important for the people who are watching to understand you can have theological differences when it comes to showing light, when it comes to being impactful in our communities, and letting them see unity like this. I think is significant.
And all I can say is amen.
Amen.
Hear that, Dr. Pulley?
Yes, amen.
Thank
you.
Well, thank all of you. Honestly, thank you, Rabbi Wolpe, Pastor Foster, Dr. Pulley. That was an incredible conversation. It really is amazing to have all three of you join us tonight. So I want to thank all of you guys. Also, it's a reminder during this conversation about the influence that entertainers and people from our community, the entertainment community, have, especially in this age of social media. And big change can come from this community if they're willing to engage and speak up and speak out about some of these issues. So thank you so much for that. Next up for everyone here, we have some great performances in store for you tonight, and also some messages from some of our supporters regarding the work we do here at CCFP. This includes a performance of Ma'otsur by CCFP Professional Networking Committee member Gabriel Mann, a good friend of mine. Gabe is an artist, songwriter, and composer who has shared the stage with everyone from Katy Perry to Alanis Morissette. And he's a composer and wrote the iconic theme song for the award-winning hit comedy series Modern Family. And he is currently composing for ABC's breakout drama A Million Little Things. Another artist we have a special song for you tonight is from UK award-winning R&B artist Lemar, who signed a £1 million contract with Sony Music and a publishing deal with BMG. Lemar has had a run of chart success, especially in the UK, Europe, and Australia, selling millions of albums with 7 top 10 UK singles. He also won 2 Brit Awards, which is their version of the Grammys for all the Americans that don't know. And he even joined CCFP last year on our inaugural trip to Israel and had an amazing time there. And it was interesting to hear all the feedback he had. So here's some words from some supporters and a few performances.
I'm so honored to be here. And for me, it's very, very important. I represent artists that were part of a concert in Israel. I'm so happy to be here.
David and Gary have been telling me about the organization for years. I've been to Tel Aviv a couple of times, and it's one of my favorite places. Incredible music scene, a ton of culture. And for us to be able to bring people together through music, you got me all day long for that.
I can't think of a better organization to achieve that through music and the arts than this organization.
Big face. Ladies and gentlemen, Lior Raz.
I really enjoyed my time in Israel.
I think Israeli food, or what we're calling Israeli food, with all its influences, may be the cuisine of the world at the moment.
I was bar mitzvah again, and it was the greatest time of my life. It was unbelievable.
The BDS movement didn't try to stop the show.
There was nothing that was going to stop us from being in Israel.
Nothing.
Nothing.
She wanted to come, he wanted to come, nothing stopped them to come.
Hi everyone, I just want to send my love and light to you all. I hope you're all enjoying the event so far. I know this is a really difficult time in the world for us all, as we're having to make so many changes and sacrifices in our lives. but I have faith in my heart that even though the waves in the sea of life seem to keep crashing against us, that actually through our resilience and ability to help each other, we can weather the storm and soon return to a calmness that we all long for. I also have seen in the last year so many wonderful ways that people have made a positive difference in each other's lives, especially those that have reached out to others, made sure that they were seen and heard when no one seemed to care, and also all the people that stood up for others who have been repressed and mistreated and demanded real inclusion and acceptance for all. Music for me has been my way to have a deep, direct connection with many people at one time. To connect heart to heart and soul to soul is so powerful and doesn't require any thinking or analysing to understand, just feeling. I want to create beautiful vibrations that hopefully resonate with whoever listens and gives that person a true healing in their soul. I hope that we can all send out good vibes in our daily life through our interactions, and also have the ability to respect each other's differences, as that's what makes us unique. So let's share our love and light in the world and make a positive difference, as a world filled with compassion and empathy is a step closer to a world filled with love. Have a wonderful evening, and I'm sending you all of my love. Peace.
Hey everybody, this is Ma'oz Tzur. Happy Hanukkah.
Ma'oz Tzur Yeshuati Lecha na'el shabeach Tikon betefilati B'sham toda
Hello, my friends. Hope you're enjoying your evening. I'm glad I could be a part of it. Now, 2020 has been a bit of a crazy one, right? I like to try and focus on the positives. It's been nice to see people using their voice for good, you know, using their voice to speak out when they've seen negativity and speak out when they've seen wrongdoing, you know, and just trying to make the world a bit more of a peaceful and united place. Sending love and light. Enjoy your evening. Peace.
Wow. That was absolutely amazing. Two good buddies of mine, Gabe and Lemar. Thank you for that. Two incredible voices. That was really special. Thank everybody, Craig David, everybody else, Haim Saban and Jacqueline Saturn, Ziggy Marley, everybody that supports CCFP through the years, supports us this year. Honestly, this is our 16th virtual event this year. And as David mentioned at the beginning of the event, no organization really knew what was happening once COVID hit and everything started shutting down. And CCFP, proudly, we were able to pivot and really engage people online through social media, through these virtual events, and really connect people. We held events in theater, to TV, to sports, to featuring the reggae industry, to the Ethiopian community in Israel. And, it was really special. And we really can't thank you guys enough for supporting us over the course of this year and in the past. Thank you for everybody watching tonight. I know, people have a lot of things to do right now, so we really appreciate that. I want to thank our sponsors once again for this evening: Ben Silverman, Steve Greenberg, Jacqueline Saturn, and Yigal Dakar, Craig Emanuel, Rothenberg, Moore and Binder, Rick Rosen and Orly Adelson, Neil Jacobson and Sam DeLug. We really couldn't do this without you. For everybody else, Matthew, please put the card up. We would love for you to please consider donating tonight. ccfpeace.com. Simply go to ccfpeace.com and you can donate there. Any amount helps. Once again, ccfpeace.com. We wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, and a New Year's. We'll see you in 2021. We have a really big initiative launching early at the top of the year that you guys are going to love if you love something like this. So anyhow, thank you, everybody.